Clementine is a character introduced as one of the main non-playable characters in Telltale Games' The Walking Dead episodic adventure video game, a spin-off of the Robert Kirkman comic of the same name. She is voiced by Melissa Hutchison and was written by several people, including Gary Whitta. The second season of the game features Clementine as the lead character, though given her extensive role in both games, Clementine is the assumed protagonist of the game series. Clementine is a young 8-year-old girl living with her parents in an Atlanta suburb. While her parents were away, she was forced to join a group of survivors in an effort to find safety in midst of a zombie apocalypse. Through the plot, Clementine develops a strong bond with the player-protagonist Lee Everett, a former fugitive who becomes her new guardian. Being one of the first elements created for the game, Clementine was designed to act as a moral compass for the player in addition to an influence on the player's decisions, to which the player would have to reflect upon. Clementine was considered an emotional centerpiece of the Walking Dead game, and several journalists expressed caring for her fate in a way that few other games have been able to capture. Concept and creation: Clementine appeared in the 2012 episode video game The Walking Dead as a main character. According to the game's creative lead Sean Vanneman, Clementine was literally the first idea for developing the game, with her emotional climax at the finale of the 5th episode being established before any of the game's other dialogue was written. The development team had considered the including of a child in a dark storyline was similar to previous story elements from Robert Kirkman's The Walking Dead comic, but still had a difficult time of selling the concept originally. They then set to use Clementine as the moral compass for the main player character, establishing her as a smart, honest, and capable girl that would reflect on choices made by the player. Telltale had considered other backgrounds for Clementine, such as being from a single-parent family, or being the younger sister of the player character, but found that the pre-established emotional bond between the characters did not fit well, and instead opted to make Lee Everett her father figure. This led to changing Clementine's race from white to African American, as to give her the appearance of possibly being Lee's daughter to other characters. Clementine's design was based on art director Derek Sakai's own daughter. Sakai described her as having a crazy sense of fashion, selecting beloved clothing items to wear regularly. As such, Clementine was given an iconic baseball hat that serves as her connection to her parents. Sakai provided Vanneman with other advice from his fatherhood, offering that Clementine would appear smarter if she did not say as much, while still pointing out character flaws should one get out of line. Much of the game focuses on changes to Clementine's appearances and personality as she comes to grips with the new reality of the zombie-infested world. At the start of the game, Clementine is wearing a clean white dress, but it becomes dirty and soiled throughout the game, reflecting her loss of innocence, according to Sakai. Melissa Hutchison, a voice actress that had previously worked on other Telltale games, was selected to be the voice for Clementine. Prior auditions were held, but Vanneman found that children could not grasp the emotion of the role while adults were not able to get the voices they intended for the character. At one point, for lack of a suitable actress, Vanneman felt that we were going to have to take Clementine out of the game. Hutchison was able to relate to the character of Clementine, as her life mirrored that of the character, and easily fell into the role of the character during auditions, securing her as the voice for Clementine. The bond between Clementine and Lee was considered instrumental to the game by Telltale. Gary Whitta described Lee's and Clementine's relationship as emotionally authentic. To build this relation, Clementine was introduced as early as possible within the first episode. The specific scene of Lee having to deal with Clementine's zombified babysitter was specifically to highlight Clementine's likability, resourcefulness, and vulnerability. The writers carefully had to balance elements in the scene, as if, for example, Clementine appeared to be annoying to the player, the emotional bond would be absent and the player would likely make choices without caring about Clementine's fate. Writer Jake Rutkin stated that the difficulties of writing a child character that the player wouldn't want to abandon led to serious discussion about dropping Clementine late in the development process, a week before voice recording was to start. The game designer and writer Harrison G. Pink commented that the in-game decisions were not meant to be good because there couldn't be an optimal playthrough. Clementine made those decisions even more difficult, since her presence forces the player to consider protecting her on another level. "It gets way more blurred when you involve Clementine," Pink said. "You have these decisions that are probably the right decisions for the group. She's watching, but then maybe she needs to understand this, but I might scare her because she'll think I'm a crazy person." There's no wrong choice. If you can justify it and it feels properly motivated to you, it's a valid choice. With the game's Season 2, Clementine becomes the main playable character, a choice that allowed them to continue the themes of the first season while introducing new characters and situations for the second. Telltale was first challenged to try to make Clementine feel like the character that the player, through making decisions as Lee, had groomed. One method this was resolved by was to create the first scenario of the game to put the player in control of Clementine's actions that have disastrous results, as to make the player felt as if they had made those choices and separating them from familiar characters. Further, they had to consider how to present Clementine as a character that could make substantial changes on the world and characters around her despite being a child. Appearances The Walking Dead Season 1 Clementine is introduced in a post-apocalyptic world of zombies when the player-protagonist Lee Everett takes shelter in her suburban home in Georgia. She is revealed to be hiding from the zombies as her parents had left for Savannah some time before the spread of plague. Recognizing that Clementine would remain in danger, Lee offers to take and protect her, hoping that they will be able to find her parents. They eventually join a small group of survivors, which include Kenny, his wife Katja and his son Duck. After returning to Lee's hometown of Macon for supplies, they find shelter in a motel, where they spend several weeks until their supplies run low. During one outing, Lee and the other find an abandoned car loaded with fresh supplies which the group takes. They are forced out of the motel by a combined attack from scavengers and walkers, eventually coming to a working train that can take them to Savannah, both to look for Clementine's parents and to find a boat to leave the mainland. During these events, Lee helps to teach Clementine practical survival skills such as how to fire a handgun. They are also forced to deal with killing Duck after he had received a walker bite and Katja's suicide at losing her son, leaving Kenny traumatized. Approaching Savannah, Clementine's walkie-talkie comes to life. Believing it to be her parents, she and Lee hear a strange man on the opposite end, who knows Clementine's and Lee's names and promises that she will be safe once he kills Lee. Lee takes additional precautions to watch over Clementine, particularly after meeting Vernon, the leader of a small group of hospital patients who does not believe Lee is fit to watch over her and offers to take her. One day, Lee finds that Clementine has been kidnapped, and in his haste to find her, is bitten by a walker. They learn that she was kidnapped by the man that had talked to her on the walkie-talkie earlier and has taken shelter in a hotel in the city. While still maintaining his senses, Lee organizes the remaining survivors, including Kenny, to rescue Clementine. Kenny appears to sacrifice himself for the group, while Lee is separated from the others, and asks them to wait at the edge of town for him and Clementine. Lee arrives at the hotel, which is surrounded by walkers. The stranger reveals that Clementine is safe, and then accuses Lee of stealing the supplies that he had for his family from the abandoned car. Without these, he lost his own family to walkers. When Lee realizes the man has gone insane as he speaks to his dead wife's head in a bag, he and Clementine manage to overpower and kill him. Lee holds onto his consciousness long enough to help Clementine escape the hotel, whereupon they see her parents, now walkers. Clementine drags Lee into a secured shop and Lee wakes up long enough to give her some last pieces of advice, to meet their friends at the edge of town, and then asks her to kill him before he turns. Clementine's choice is left up to the player. Later, Clementine is seen outside of town, and spots two distant figures on the horizon. When they turn to look at her, she cautiously aims her gun at them. The Walking Dead, Season 2 Prior to Season 2's formal announcement, Telltale affirmed that Clementine will definitely be a part of the second season of The Walking Dead. The full announcement of the game revealed that Clementine will be the player character in the series. Season 2 starts some months after the end of the first season. Clementine has been able to regroup with Omid and Krista, but her carelessness at a rest stop causes Omid to be killed by a scavenger. About 18 months later, she and Krista are separated by another scavenger attack, and she eventually stumbles onto another group of survivors, demonstrating her value and ingenuity to them. She learns this group is being tracked by a man named Carver, who believes that one member of the group, Rebecca, is carrying his child, though Rebecca's husband Alvin denies his. The group moves north, hoping to reach a rumored-safe area near Wellington. They find a ski lodge where another group waits, which Clementine is surprised to find Kenny alive. After their reunion, Clementine observes that while Kenny has grown close to Sarita, his attitude towards others has become hostile and distrustful. During a Walker attack, the combined groups are saved by the sudden appearance of Carver and his men, who kill Alvin before taking the survivors as his prisoners to a well-fortified department store. Clementine and the others are put to work in exchange for their safety, and when they try to escape, Carver destroys one of Kenny's eyes in punishment. Seeing Carver's ruthlessness leads two other survivors, Jane and Bonnie, to join their group in plotting an escape before the store is overrun by a mass of walkers. Clementine is instrumental in their escape, and Kenny and Rebecca kill Carver. As they flee, Sarita is bit by a walker, and Clementine and others are forced to euthanize her. When they regroup, Kenny is distraught and refuses to talk to anyone, but Clementine is able to break him out of his emotional depression as to help Rebecca give birth to her baby, which is later named Alvin Jr. or AJ. Jane takes interest in Clementine, and like Lee before, helps to teach her some survival skills including understanding that she cannot save everyone. After another Walker attack, the group continues northward despite Rebecca's worsening health. They are ambushed by a group of Russian immigrants led by Avo, leading to a Mexican standoff. Clementine sees that Rebecca has succumbed to her wounds, has died but is now reanimating as a walker, and she is forced to shoot her to save AJ. This sets off the gunfight, but Jane manages to kill the other Russians, and the group forces Avo to take them to shelter. As they are chased by walkers, they are forced to walk across a frozen lake, which with the added weight of the walkers, causes the ice to break and Clementine to fall in and others to drown. Once they are safe and Clementine given time to warm up, Kenny threatens to beat up Avo to death, but Clementine manages to stop him. Jane warns Clementine that Kenny may be beyond help. Clementine discovers Avo and others, fearing Kenny, are trying to sneak away, and Avo accidentally shoots Clementine. While unconscious, Clementine has a lucid dream involving Lee. When she wakes she finds herself with Kenny, Jane, and AJ heading north in a truck. They are forced to stop as a snowstorm approaches with the road blocked ahead, and Kenny goes to look for a way around. While he is gone, Jane urges Clementine to leave Kenny behind. A walker horde appears, and Clementine is separated from Jane and AJ, but finds shelter in a nearby rest stop where Kenny waits. Jane appears, without AJ, and Kenny assumes the worst that AJ has been killed, and immediately attacks Jane. The two struggle, and Clementine is forced to have one of them die. After the fight, she finds AJ safely hidden in a nearby car as part of Jane's plan to expose Kenny's temperament. The player can opt for Clementine to join the survivor or go on her own with AJ at the end of the game. Reception. Many journalists consider Clementine to be an emotional center point of the Walking Dead game, an accomplishment that few other video game characters have made. Game Informer Euro's Kimberly Wallace describes the character of Clementine as having broken through the barrier of the television screen, securing a place in the hearts of many. IGN's Colin Campbell said in his article that Clementine is designed to elicit super protective instincts in the player. Without Clementine, Lee is just some dude trying to stay alive, but she allows him to be sympathetic to us, commented Campbell. Andy Mackay, writing in the Herald, described the relationship with Clementine as the heartbreaking bedrock of the game. Kotaku's Kirk Hamilton writes that Clementine is a well-done, real-feeling character in the game. She is pretty great. She's cute and funny, smarter than she lets on, yet she still acts like a kid. She's one of the most realistically drawn kids I've encountered in a video game in some time, says Hamilton. Games Radar's Hollander Cooper and Sterling McGarvey wrote that the hopelessness of the world would be infectious if not for her constant optimism, giving you something to fight for. She, a unregistered trademark, is slow to adapt to the fact that good and evil are now meaningless, and her innocence keeps the concept of hope alive in the survivors. They stated. The Sunday Herald states that Clementine is the real emotional heart of this game. During the game's episodic release, players frequently used the Twitter hashtag #4Clementine to reflect how much the character had influenced them. Vanneman was surprised but pleased with this response, stating that the fact that people care about Clementine is invaluable. Melissa Hutchison as Clementine was nominated for and won the award for Best Performance by a Human Female at the 2012 Spike TV Video Game Awards. Hutchinson's performance has also been nominated in the Performance category for the 2013 British Academy Video Games Awards. References